Segment 5.1.1 בבוקר תלכנה לסבוח. בבוקר תלכנה לסבוח. In this activity, you will learn how to ask a group of your friends what they plan to do, assuming that the group you're addressing is entirely comprised of women. Also, through the activity, you will enjoy comparing notes concerning how a group of women would respond to a situation over against how a group of men would respond to the same situation. First, let's discover how to formulate verbs so that we can address a group which is comprised entirely of women. Without realizing it, you've actually already learned this form because it's identical to the third feminine plural. That's spelled the same as addressing a group of women second person, you, plural. Let's take a look at a sample list of these verbs that were formulated to present third feminine plural, they, that is those women, will do something. They're found in segment Arba, Nikud Arba, Nikud Aleph. Arba, Nikud Arba, Nikud Aleph. Here then are the verbs from Arba, Nikud Aleph. You'll notice that they are third feminine plural. They, women, will. Now please realize that all we need to do is change the heading from third feminine plural to second feminine plural, and in each case exchange the word they for you, feminine plural, and we will not need to change the spelling of the Hebrew at all. To be sure this makes sense, let's run through a few samples. Take the first verb, for example, pronounced tochalna. This will mean either they, a group of women, will eat, or you, a group of women, will eat. Second, ta'amina. Depending on the context, this will either mean they will believe, describing the behavior of a group of women third person, or you will believe, describing the behavior of a group of women in the second person. The same pattern follows throughout this list. Let's proceed to the activity where we will compare how two groups will respond to the same scenario, one group being a group of men, the other a group of women. Here are the steps. In step A, you will be joining with classmates of your gender. In step B, you then as a group will select one of the scenario options found in segment 5.1.1 Dalet. Here's what they look like. Select one of these scenarios as a group. Step C, select a verb suitable to that scenario. When you present the scenario and the verb to the other gender group, you'll be asking them, given the scenario that we select and the verb that we select, how would you behave? How would you negotiate that verb in that scenario? The model will make this clearer. First, let's be sure we recall what verbs are easily available to us. You may wish to draw from one of these verbs, again from segment Arba, Nikud Aleph, bearing in mind that although they are presented here as third person, they're spelled the same for second person. In step D, then, you will present both your selected scenario and your selected verb to the opposite group and ask them how they would respond. Since you're wishing to compare your response to theirs, then step E, be sure and formulate your own response to your own question, as well as presenting the material to the other group for their response. And finally, step F, compare how your group and how the opposite gender group would respond to the same scenario. Let's take a look at an example in the model. In the model, let's imagine that you're part of the male group and you're wishing to ask the group of women in your class concerning this particular scenario when comforting a sad friend. The verb that you select is natan. Consequently, your inquiry that you direct to the group of women would read, Ma titena, ma titena. They would reflect on this in the context of when comforting a sad friend, and after a few minutes, they might come back to your group with this reply, Lo nitain et hakasef et halechem nitain. Lo nitain et hakasef et halechem nitain. While they are busy preparing their response, you'll be engaged in preparing your own response to, again, the same verb that you've selected, natan, the same scenario, comforting a sad friend, and then you could compare the outcome, what your group produced over against what their group produced. Segment 5, nikud achat nikud zayin. Snapshot of a sample verb. Second feminine plural conjugation of yiktol, again using shamar as our paradigm verb. Tishmorna, tishmorna, you will guard, feminine plural. If you examine closely, you'll see that it's spelled exactly the same as the last entry in this table. Tishmorna, they will guard. They will guard. Third feminine plural.